You know that feeling you get when something inside you becomes numb, then quiet? You replay the same conversation in your head, see the red flags, and knew something isn't right. But you still can't walk away? People might call it weakness or low standards, but the truth is much deeper. Quiet not because you're peaceful, but because you're tired. In this video, I'll break down the psychology of why we stay in unfulfilling, misaligned, or toxic relationships, and why emotionally it's hard to get out. You've already had the same conversation in your head 100 times. However, leaving a relationship isn't just about willpower. It's about nervous system regulation and rebuilding self-trust. You've replayed the moment they disappointed you. You've noticed the feeling that you get when something feels off. You've imagined what it would be like to walk away. And yet, you're still there. From the outside, people call it weakness, low standards, fear of being alone. They simplify it because that makes it easier to judge. If you're staying in something that doesn't feel right, the story must be that you don't value yourself enough. But that explanation is shallow. It misses what's really happening under the surface. There's more going on here than people realize. When you stay even though you know something isn't aligned, it's not because you can't see what's going on. It's because two different systems inside you are having a quiet argument, and one of them just happened to win. At least for now. Your mind sees the data. Your body remembers the bond. When we form close relationships, the brain releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone. Dopamine then reinforces the connection, especially during moments of closeness after distance or conflict. The attachment system in the brain links that person to safety, belonging, and emotional survival. Once that wiring forms, it doesn't shut off just because logic shows up. Research on intermittent reinforcement, similar to what keeps people hooked in gambling, shows that unpredictable rewards create stronger bonds than consistent ones. When connection is warm one day and distant the next, the dopamine spikes become even more powerful. The brain starts chasing the return of the good version. Don't see it as stupidity, it's conditioning. So when you think, I know this isn't right, that's your prefrontal cortex speaking, the rational, future-oriented part of you. But when you feel the pull to stay, that's your nervous system. And the nervous system is older than logic. It cares less about happiness and more about survival. To understand why this mechanism is welded so deep, you have to look further back. Most people don't realize how early attachment experiences shape what feels normal. If love in your early life was inconsistent, for example, sometimes you felt warmth and other times withdrawn, your body learned to equate your uncertainty with connection. And if affection had to be earned, then peace came after tension. Or if closeness required endurance, your nervous system adapted. It learned that staying was safer than risking loss. That adaptation is a survival strategy. This shows you the engine is running on a program. Another important fact to consider. As children, we couldn't just leave our caregivers. We had to adjust ourselves instead. We become patient, hopeful, and tolerant of discomfort. Those strategies work when you're small and dependent. But they don't always update automatically in adulthood. So when you're in a relationship that feels misaligned, a part of you recognizes the mismatch. Another part recognizes the pattern. And patterns feel familiar. Familiar feels safe. Even when it hurts. Leaving quickly doesn't make you stronger. Staying longer doesn't make you a weak person neither. You move when you've made up your mind, not when other people think you should. Different nervous systems respond to threat and attachment differently. Some people detach fast. Some people endure. Neither response is inherently stronger. They're just wired differently. What's rarely talked about is the paradox inside this. The same trait that keeps you in something longer than you want to be is often the same trait that makes you deeply loyal, patient, and capable of profound connection. You don't give up easily. You look for nuance. You remember the good moments. You see potential. You understand context. You can hold complexity without collapsing into black and white thinking. But there's a quiet cost. You see, when loyalty overrides alignment, you start negotiating with your own intuition. You shrink certain needs to keep the peace. You tell yourself to wait a little longer. You hold on to who the person could be instead of who they are consistently showing you. Over time, that creates an internal split. One part of you knows. The other part hopes. Hope can be beautiful. It keeps relationships alive through rough seasons. But hope without evidence slowly erodes self-trust. When you finally admit, this doesn't feel right, you're reaching the edge of what you can tolerate. Each time something felt off, each time you notice the pattern instead of denying it, you're laying down new wiring. And, even if you haven't left yet, the separation has already begun internally. That's why it can feel confusing. You can love someone and still know it's not enough. You are not broken for struggling to let go. You are not weak for feeling attached to someone who doesn't fully meet you. Your nervous system formed that bond for a reason. It was trying to keep you safe. It was trying to preserve connection. It was doing what it learned to do. The real change comes from strengthening the part of you that feels safe, even without that person. When internal security grows, external misalignment becomes easier to release. And sometimes, the bravest thing isn't the moment you walk away. It's the moment you stop demeaning your own perception. If any part of this feels uncomfortably familiar, there's likely more beneath it, not just about who you choose, but about how your system learned to define safety, love, and belonging. And once you begin to see that clearly, the story starts to shift in ways that feel quieter, but far more permanent.